The Black Business Council says the empowerment of the previously disadvantaged remains a pipe dream despite numerous promises. The council is hosting black professionals, policymakers, as well as industry players for the 2025 BBC Summit, currently underway in Kempton Park, east of Johannesburg. Now, the summit is a platform for engagements on developments in the economy, policies, as well as access to opportunities for black businesses. The summit is the first for the Government of National Unity, also taking place in the country's G20 presidency in the period of trade wars and changes in geopolitical dynamics. SABC News economics reporter Katlego Legodi has all your details.
The Black Business Summit here in 2025 taking stock of where the country finds itself in terms of the transformation agenda. Here you find various of those role players, including policy makers, business people, black businesses, still saying that there's still a long way to go in ensuring that there's inclusion, but also that they meaningfully play part in terms of the country's economy. Here we find various of those ministers, including Minister Park Stow, Minister of Agriculture, Minister John Steenhuisen, and the Minister of International Relations, Minister Ronald Lamola, who'll just join us in a moment to just give us a sense of where we find ourselves, especially in terms of capitalizing on the continent and the country's G20 presidency. I'm going to bring him into the conversation now to just give us a sense of where we find ourselves now. Minister, thank you very much for giving us your time. You just came back from Paris. Maybe let's start there and we'll touch on the developments in terms of the Black Business Council and your role here. Let's look at that OECD meeting and what we come back with from there, looking at the fact that there is a need to ensure that there's meaningful transformation, especially where our country's economy is concerned. Welcome.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Indeed, the OECD was looking into the global economy, releasing a report in terms of that their views that the global economy is going to contrast due to the current environment in geopolitics. But they also acknowledge that we do need inclusive economic growth and inclusive economies across the globe to resolve challenges of inequality, to bridge the gap between the global north and the global south. And the African continent obviously becomes a key important player in this regard, because we have a number of countries whose economies in the world are going to grow above the global average, except the ones in China, in Asia, which will grow more bigger than the African continent. So that at least is a glimmer of hope for us as South Africa, and also for South African businesses that must participate in the African continent, the Africa Free Trade Area, and various investment drives that we participate in the continent. And the point we're raising is that we have to ensure that type of participation should be inclusive, so that when we have South African businesses in the continent, it should not just be big business, which you know is largely white in our country, but we must also have black businesses. There must also be a core of small businesses playing a role.
Yeah, let's talk about the G20, the Sherpa meetings that are taking place, and you just come back from the United States of America with a lot of people just looking to see how then relations move from that meeting at the White House with South Africa, looking at our G20 presidency, handing it over to the United States. Let's look at our G20, the Sherpa meetings, but also the United States of America, reflection on that meeting with the president there.
Yeah, the U.S., as the president has said, the meeting was very cordial, the lunch meeting, which agreed on the resetting of bilateral relations, which was our objective. The second objective was to convince the U.S. to participate meaningfully in the G20, because they are a member, and be a full participant. And President Trump did confirm that he will attend the summit in Johannesburg in November, and we look forward to that. Our meetings of the G20 various groups, including the Sherpa meetings, are going on very well. Priorities are being discussed, as we have already outlined issues of disaster resilience, the global financial architecture is transformation, the issues of AI governance, and issues of food security. So it is going very well, and we think that we'll be able to host a successful summit of the G20. Obviously, it is happening within a context of geopolitical challenges with the tariffs imposed to many countries across the globe, which obviously will stunt economic growth, affects supply chains and so forth. So we are looking forward to a robust and an engaging leader summit in November, and we believe that we'll be able to continue to deliver on an ambitious outcomes that will benefit the African continent, the global south, and the entire globe.
Was there commitment to the easing of some of these trade bottlenecks? As we saw the country also, we see the country, South Africa, navigating the 90-day pause. Following that meeting with the US, was there somewhat of an indication of salvaging where we are, but also with these concerns that are playing themselves out around AGOA?
Yeah, there was a commitment to engage, which is currently happening. And Minister Tau, I hope after this you'll be able to engage with him. He is currently engaging on the issues of trade with the U.S. As you will remember in one of our press briefings where we stated that the AGOA has been nullified technically because of the tariffs. So there is a need for the reset of that bilateral trade arrangement, and that is what Minister Tau is currently engaged with his counterparts in the U.S., and we're looking forward to the outcomes of their discussion.
Minister Lamola, thank you very much, sir, for giving us your time. Minister Ronald Lamola, just giving us a breakdown of what is happening here. The summit well underway, and you hear him saying as well there are those issues that are canvassed around policy, but also just pushing to ensure that there is transformation, especially where black businesses are concerned. I'm Katlego, Legodi for SABC News in Kempton Park.